Hey guys, I'm Chris. Thank you for joining me today. I want to talk about imposter syndrome, especially in relation to making videos for your business. Now, the whole point of this is I want to talk through helping business owners, marketers create video content that helps them sell, that helps them market, get people aware of it. And one of the biggest challenges is actually getting on camera. And I want to talk about imposter syndrome today because it's something that is really it's hammering my brain today, and I did not want to get on this live. I did not want to get on the Instagram live I did before. I didn't want to make the videos we made earlier today. I didn't want to do any sales calls. And a lot of it comes down to this kind of feeling of imposter syndrome, and that can show up in a few different ways. So I want to talk through some of the ways that it does show up. It comes as these little voices in your head. I sound crazy maybe, but if you're a business owner, you're probably equally as crazy. And I also want to talk through just a couple basic ways that you can get through it. I'm not going to be giving you the 30-step plan to change your whole life. It's just some basic things that when you get in that moment, you get a couple seconds to make the decision of, I'm going to break through this or I'm going to let this thing win. And we can go from there. So, yeah, it all comes down to there's a book called The War of Art. It's not the art of war. It's called The War of Art by Stephen Pressfield. He identifies this force as resistance with a capital R. And I like this because it puts this feeling, what we're going to talk about as imposter syndrome, it identifies it as a force that's outside of yourself. It's not necessarily you telling yourself these things. This is a force of nature that wants you to not do the things that you want to do. And it happens to those of us that pursue an artistic endeavor, that pursue an entrepreneurial endeavor. If you want to work out, if you want to improve something in your life, if you want to make things better, you're always going to encounter this resistance, this force that tells you that you don't deserve it, that you shouldn't do it, why you should stop. You don't need to work out today. You should eat the donut instead, even though in 2 hours, you're going to feel like shit. So you won't go work out. It's the same thing that shows up. And so it's prevalent to this because as I went to go make these videos today, as I'm driving in to the office, starting to think about the topics we're going to talk about and film today, I get these thoughts that show up, and maybe they show up this way for you when you're going to make videos and really put yourself out there because you're sharing a piece of yourself, you're sharing a piece of your expertise. I can put this out here and I can get 50 people that come back to me and say, "You're a fucking idiot. What are you talking about? You're not qualified to share this info. You've only run a business for a year and a half. You've only been making videos for a year and a half. Why should I listen to you?" And all it's and maybe some of these things that people come back with the criticisms are valid, but these are the kind of things that pop up. So you may have gotten these same things that you told yourself. You're not qualified to share this info. You're not good on camera, or someone else has already done it. So why bother? And then also, I hear this. This is what I hear from a lot of experienced people is who would want to listen to me? So, number one and number three seem to come from people with somewhat less experience. Maybe you've been doing it for a few years, 5 years, something like that. And then two and four, I hear that from people that have real experience of 10, 20, 30 years. So you're not immune from this. If you're starting to make videos for your business and you encounter some of this resistance, you may see it in these ways, and it doesn't really discriminate against inexperienced versus experience. Now, like somebody like my brother, Greg, he goes in and I don't even think these thoughts cross his mind. And I love him and he makes great shit, but I have no idea how these thoughts don't really cross his mind. I admire that a lot, but I'm not that person. These are the thoughts that come into my head. So when these show up, you got to remember this is an outside force from yourself. I will call it resistance. Go read or listen to The War of Art if you want to dive into that. But these are the kinds of things that show up. So for me as a newer entrepreneur, the not qualified or someone else has already done it, so why bother? Those are big ones. And then also, who would want to listen to me because I've only been doing this for a year and a half? Well, one thing that I've realized in this, and we'll talk about ways to break through it, is number four is look at your successes. So I I've been talking to a lot of marketing professionals lately, and one of the things that I assumed before I started putting this content out and trying to teach people this stuff is that I assumed everybody knew this stuff. I assumed everybody knew what I'm talking about. I assumed they already knew how to make this stuff happen. And a lot of people don't. And it's because they're living their life. They're focused on their expertise. They're focused on delivering for their customers. They're focused on all those things. So when I look back at what we've done successfully, me and my team, it's we've put together a successful podcast. We've turned all this stuff into video content. We figured out how to put it out. We know how to get content created. We know how to get content created for businesses. We know how to put it out. We know how to get eyes on it. And yes, there are people out there that are getting millions of views on single videos. There's even people locally that are doing that. And it's easy to look at that and say, like, oh man, I'm not as good as that. Or, oh man, maybe I shouldn't even try. Like, why bother? But that doesn't help. It really doesn't help anything. And it makes you stay stuck. You stay stuck. You don't make the video. You don't put it through. Then you say, what's the point? I could be doing better things. Oh, there's no real return on investment for these videos. Yeah, if you start, you do it for 3 days and then you stop, and then you do it for 3 days in a few months, you're not going to see the return. I understand that. And so a big part of it is staying consistent. If you feel this way, do it anyway. Start recording videos that you're going to throw away and start writing. Do these 4 things. Write out what you want to talk about. Talk into a voice memo, like we talked about a few days ago or last week. Get the ideas, get them flowing, bounce them off of other people, and then start recording videos. And if you know that you're going to throw them away, you can be a little bit more free. So don't put all that pressure, like, I've got to put this out. Say, we're going to take a month and we're going to record a video every single day. And by doing that, we don't need to put out a video every day. We just need to record one every day. And if you can do that consistently, you build that muscle. You can throw out a bunch of the stuff that doesn't work. And then if you're on the fence about it and you're not really putting stuff out anyway, because social media is saturated, because all these channels are saturated, there's a good chance those early ones are going to go by the wayside anyway. You might get 5 views, you might get a few hundred, but then you can look at what works, and tweak it from there. But that's what I say: stay consistent, do it anyway. You could throw shit out if you don't really want to use it. But again, 4 is the kind of the big one of just changing that perspective. When you get into this mindset, like I get into pretty much every time I turn the camera on, look at the successes, look what you've done. Think back to the conversations you've had with prospects, with customers, whoever it might be that you've given guidance to, and start to dig into that, find what you can share and run with it. I have to jump off of here to go on to a call in a minute. Thank you guys for listening. I'm really curious to know your thoughts. Please share them below. If you deal with the same thing, or if I'm sitting out here alone because I'm a fucking nut job, you can let me know that too. If you get on camera and you're just like dead confident, actually call me. Instead of you trying to pay me to help you make this stuff, I might pay you to help me figure out how to be more like you. So thank you guys. I hope you enjoyed this, and I'll talk to you soon.